Where do I even begin on this weekend's recap? I'm going to try and work my way through this rather than using my quick takes that I normally do. This is a complicated subject and I'd like to try and explain it the best that I can. On Friday, the blog came out and in it said they were going to be removing the charts and giving that information over to specific content creators. It was assumed correctly that it would be given to the envoys. Now, of course, this caused a huge uproar. Boylon was the face of it because he makes the most notable videos utilizing those charts, and he's not an envoy, so they kind of pulled the rug out from under him. But there was also a lot of other content creators as well that were hurt by this. Rage Gaming, another one. Monguli is another one. We'll get to some of his videos as well. These people were hurt because they are not envoys. They would not have as early of an access to that information. In fact, they would be making their videos based on an envoy video. And it goes even further than that. There's that guy in your alliance who goes over that information and brings it to his alliance mates who don't use YouTube or Twitch or even go to the blog post. There's the cluster person who gives that information to your cluster server and disseminates it. There's all those people from all over the place, different forms of social media that use that information fresh from the blog to try and prepare others for when it goes live in game. And the biggest thing is that that's a lot of eyeballs going over that, correcting Scopely's mistakes before this thing does go live in-game. And that's where the real problem is. See, Scopely put this out as trying to help the envoys making exclusive content when really they're just covering their asses because they are incapable of putting out correct math for such complicated events. And they wanted to use the envoys as a buffer for all the feedback that they'd be getting when a mistake happens. Not to mention, they kind of pointed this thing out as though the envoys really wanted to just cut out the middleman and not let those up-and-comers have access to the information, which really made us look bad, and that actually wasn't the case at all. Now, a couple weeks back, there was a call that some of the envoys were on. I'm not allowed to talk a lot about that, although some of this information has already been made public, so I'll try and tread carefully. I will say this, the attendance for that call was the lowest of any developer call I've ever seen. Essentially, most of the envoys weren't even there to hear it. Now, I was there among some others. We did hear that this was coming. However, in my opinion, it was presented to us in a different fashion, and many of us did voice our concerns with this. Although I'm going to take responsibility for myself right here. In hindsight, I did not voice myself loud and clear enough on this. In hindsight, maybe I could have made a difference and stopped this drama from occurring in the first place, and for that I am sorry. There are a lot of other factors involving that call that I cannot get into, but suffice to say that that was a complex matter, and I don't think that we should be pointing fingers at anyone on that topic. Mobile Gamer was very upset over the blog post when he read it live. He had watched Boylon's video and he felt that he was being improperly manipulated into being the face of this thing and didn't like it at all. And so he quit the Envoy program live on stream. And wouldn't you know it, those devilish envoys, they just stood back and watched it all take place. Just watched the whole community burn down while they licked their chops, stepping on the backs of those up-and-comers, waiting for their meal ticket from Scopely. No, of course, that's not at all what happened. Actually, almost every single envoy took up arms against this, immediately saying that we needed a call to action to get Scopely to reverse this. Dorky Dad saying he wouldn't make a chart video until other content creators had access to that. All of us understanding that we needed more eyeballs on this information, not less. None of us willing to be the face of it, and all of us feeling like we had been quite manipulated. I'd just like to say, again, almost every content creator, every envoy got out there and said, no, this is bad. We had videos coming from every section. There were envoys who were on personal phone calls late into the night with community managers talking to them, making sure that this got rewound. Even Archangel understood immediately that this was not the intended outcome that they wanted, and people started working frantically to backpedal on this. The result was that the blog was revoked in record time. They took that blog down, put it back up with the charts and this apology to the community. This happened on a Friday night, like at midnight or something. This was a ridiculously fast response that we've never seen from Scopely before. Many content creators were very happy to see this overturned in such short time. Monguli had a roller coaster ride, thanking Mobile Gamer for taking a stand against this, and the MSF PV stepping up and doing their part in helping get this overturned. Mobile Gamer's very upset over this whole situation. He does a double video with Valley Flying. You can basically watch these two videos back to back, as it's just an extenuation of the same conversation. He gives his reasoning in detail why he left the Envoy program and if he may return. There's some other issues that are going on, again buried under NDA. You should probably watch these videos and try and read between the lines, because there's some scary things in the works that the envoys are actually trying to handle and keep from coming about. Hindsight being what it is, this was a disaster that should have been avoided, but it turns out it was just a perfect storm of events that allowed it to slip through our fingers and come into the limelight. There are many other things that aren't happening in Marvel Strike Force because some of the envoys and the player's voice movement are distracted with those bigger topics. Now, I would like to thank a few people. Community Archangel, first and foremost. As soon as this thing was understood, he jumped all over it and did his damnedest to get this turned around. Like I said earlier, this was record timing on a weekend, and it was mostly because of him. I'd also like to thank the Players' Voice Movement and Council. They jumped on this immediately. A lot of the envoys and other content community members talked to them, and they agreed right away this was bad news and needed to be changed, and their efforts were instrumental in getting this revoked. Also, Reddit and other social media sources were posted heavily, a lot of you putting out well-written and professional words to change Scopely's mind on this. The community really came together to avoid this, and I'm glad for it, so thank you. And finally, on another note, there's a compensation that just came through from Scopely. It's 160,000 TVA credits plus a 5-day extension of the store. The strange thing is I'm hearing a lot of people complaining about that. Now, I do understand their point, that we're given so many credits and so few time to farm the store that people feel the need to refresh the store with their cores, which is the same problem they had in the first place. Now, I'd like to point out to people that you look like a bunch of whining, entitled babies when you say that. This is 160,000 credits you didn't earn. So I would like to first and foremost say thank you, Scopely. I appreciate that. It allows me to purchase the better half of the store every refresh, and if I so choose, I can spend 50 cores refreshing the store to get extra value out of those credits, which I did not earn. Now, I'm not saying that people are whiny, entitled babies. I'm just saying you look like it. In fact, Bendable Straws is the only one who put out a video showcasing that this was a good thing. Congratulations, Bendable Straw. Way to keep it positive. Over the course of this weekend, there were a lot of hurtful things being said to people, a lot of finger pointing and accusations being made, and I'd just like to say that most of the envoys had no idea that this chart situation was even going to come about, and the people that did simply made a mistake because they were busy worrying about other things that would greatly affect you guys a lot more than the charts being taken out of the blog, believe me. So I'm not asking for thanks or gratitude. I don't feel I deserve that. Nobody really does. This was just an ugly situation. But let's take a look at what happened. When we figured out what was going on, everybody came together to get this overturned in record time, and we learned something from it. I know that sounds sappy and cheesy or whatever, but I'm trying to end the video on a happy note, and I really don't know where to go with this because you're not letting me do my short little clips like I like to do. Anyway, like and subscribe for more of the latest on Run 7, bringing you yesterday's news today. Bye. What do you want? I don't have any outtakes. I did it all off the cuff. Okay, let's hear some jokes. And the most extraordinary part of this evening is that Mobile Gamer made it 3.5 minutes into his video without touching his beard. Just look at that smile. See how happy a retraction can make people? It brought this man to tears. This is the face he makes after watching my recap videos. And this is the face he makes when he sits on a thumbtack. And if you really want to laugh, then go follow the political drama that's being drummed up by the true community managers.